Now, you've truly been a terrific audience today on this family weekend concert. And, we've been doing a lot of singing. So I thought we'd take a short break from all the song to give you all a short little story. Now, it's a completely true story, one that happened to me and the Spizzwinks not too long ago, just as we were about to head off onto our fabulous summer tour to, among other places, Johannesburg, South Africa. Now, the first thing you need to know about me is that I am not very smart. You see, the very night before we were about to leave, I was staying up really late playing Twister with my roommate. Yeah, it was weird. But when I awoke the next morning with my right foot still on red, I found that, much to my deep and abiding shame, the Spizzwinks had left without me. I was in a complete state of panic. I had no idea what to do. So I did what any of you probably would have done. I ran to the nearest airport. Yes, it was a long way, but I ran. And when I arrived, I hopped onto the very first plane that I could find, thinking that naturally that plane would take me from New Haven, Connecticut, all the way to Johannesburg, South Africa. But when I got off that plane, when I deplaned, I found that I was not on the warm, welcoming, relatively safe streets of Johannesburg. Nice. No. I was on the mean, mean streets of Cambridge, Massachusetts! Now, as you may know, Cambridge is home to a small, piddling, unimportant... Gentlemen, please! It's called Harvard! Let me remind you all that Harvard is the finest correctional facility on the East Coast. Jail. So there I was, wandering those cobbled streets of Cambridge, trying not to run into that famous Harvard alumnus, the Unabomber, when I started to notice a small crowd beginning to gather. Gather. And off in the distance, there was a house on fire! Fire! Flames were leaping everywhere. But that was not the most astonishing thing, for no, atop that burning building wreathed in smoke, there stood a beautiful Harvard maiden. And she was holding her 6-month-old baby. And she was shouting, "Help me! Help me! Somebody save me and my baby!" Well, the crowd thought for a minute. And then the cleverest one among them shouted, "Jump! It's your only chance! Jump! It's your only chance!" They were a small but relatively well-organized crowd. "Oh no! It's far too far! He'll never make it!" Well, the crowd was pretty exasperated. But being intrepid souls, they thought for a moment more. And then, assuming really, really uncomfortable positions, they thought for what ended up being an indefinite period of time.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, okay. That would be that's not uncomfortable.
Suddenly, inspiration struck. "Throw the baby," they shouted. "At least we can save the baby."
Throw the baby, at least we can save the baby.
Oh no! But who will catch him? He'll splatter on the ground like an egg! Or a hefty bag filled with chicken broth. Seemingly, all hope was lost. But it was then, just then in that very nick of time, there stepped forth from that crowd the amazing, the incredible, the inimitable, the incontinent, the indomitable Andover, Exeter the Third. He is so big! And indeed he was, ladies and gentlemen. For Andy here was not your ordinary Harvard schmo. No, Surrey Bob. No, ma'am, Susan. Andy here was the star wide receiver for the Harvard Crimson football team. And Andy here was not about to drop that baby. Because Andy, a never, a drops, a nothing.
Nope.
And so our hero decided to do a few warm-up stretching exercises. Ooh. Ha! And then a young, buxom Harvard cheerleader emerged from that crowd to wish Andy a few words of moral encouragement.
Go, Andy.
Ooh la la indeed, ladies and gentlemen. For it seemed like everyone was ready, and it seemed like that Harvard mother was also ready. But first, it seemed like Andy was ready. That crowd was ready. And even that tiny little baby his mother's arms on top of that burning building wreathed in smoke, that little baby was ready. And so that Harvard mother faded back for what was about to become the most important pass of her tragically unfulfilled life. And she threw that baby. It was a perfect spiral. It went to the right. It went to the left. And seemingly defying all known laws of physics, it went back to the right again. And with a dive, Andy caught that baby. But he was so excited, he spiked it. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a moral to every story. And this story's moral should be quite clear. That is exactly what happened when you or a loved one goes to Harvard. Thank you very much.